Roberta Jamieson has an impressive resume and vast experience in Aboriginal affairs. She is an elected chief, ombudsman, lawyer, mediator, activist, and more. A Mohawk woman who is the president and chief executive officer of the National Aboriginal Achievement Foundation, and she is the first Aboriginal Canadian woman to get a law degree. It is my pleasure to welcome Roberta Jamieson to Studio 4 to tell us more and congratulate you on your list of firsts, if I can say it.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here and to meet you at last.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Les. I can't believe we haven't met before. So the National Aboriginal Achievement Foundation, nonprofit?
Yes, we're a registered charity, the only one of its kind in the country, frankly, which to date, I mean, we have provided more than $42 million to more than 11,500 Indigenous students so that they can achieve their potential.
Incredible. And as you know, an educated child can achieve potential.
Absolutely. And of course, many of your viewers, you know, may believe, as a lot of people do, that, well, those Indigenous students, don't they get their education paid for kind of from cradle to grave, and why do they need this support? And why aren't they achieving more? And I'm delighted to talk about those things because it's a myth. That is not the reality. We have young people who are the fastest growing demographic in Canada, but least likely to get out of high school.
The statistics I read are startling.
They are, and it's not in any of our interests, aging population that we are in Canada, to ignore those statistics. And I'm really pleased this last several months in particular to see the attention that these issues, the issues related to education for our young people, getting such attention from, you know, corporate CEOs who get the picture. If we don't grow and educate fastest growing demographic in Canada, we don't have employees. And the government is talking about this. And average Canadians are starting to learn that and to be outraged with the fact that it is not acceptable for young people in First Nations communities to receive $2,000 to $3,000 less per student for their education needs. How are you going to breed success from that?
The Kielburgers wrote a great column in the paper today, the Kielburger brothers, about role models for young Aboriginals and what changes when they have a role model, a teacher, when they see somebody in the classroom that is like them, when they're taught about their past and their history rather than having it glossed over. What happened in your life to get you to law school?
I had role models. I had, and you're absolutely right, and the Kielburgers are right, which is why we do the Achievement Awards. Role models motivate you. And I had a variety of role models. I had a mother who was a nurse. I had a grandmother who was one of the most tenacious Mohawk women you ever going to know. And of course, I come from a matrilineal society historically, and so our women are really looked to for leadership. I had supportive family. My identity was valued as a kid, and that's what our young students need. They need, and I grew up, we had a residential school 10 miles from my house. And I had aunts who went there, and I live with the legacy, the leftovers of that. We all do in this country. But what was different about my upbringing is that I think I had, because I'm from the most populous First Nation in Canada, about 21,000, I was taught at a young age to question, to know that there are different realities, that our culture and values has a great deal to offer us and the world. I mean, our people fundamentally were involved in democratic institutions. We were looked to by the United States when the United States wrote their Constitution. We have conflict resolution models. We have traditional healing practices. And so I was taught not to accept that our people were less than, that our people had nothing to offer unless we discarded our values and cultures and became something else. And that's what we need to teach our young people today, that our young people come to the table just like every other young person comes, with potential, with ideas, with values, and they don't have to give that up to succeed. Indeed, we'd all lose if they did.
Exactly, but knowing that in your soul, what is breaking down on reserve, off reserve, your urban Aboriginal child on the downtown east side, hooked on drugs, not educated, feeling alone? Where's the breakdown? Is it the Department of Indian Affairs dispensing money, treating Aboriginals as children? What's going on?
Well, I think there's no question the structure is broken, and you're not going to fix it by dreaming up the answers and importing them to our communities. That's been tried. I'm so thrilled to see there have been 2 recent reports out. One by a panel that went across Canada and heard, what do people think is the answer to turn this around? And also one by a Senate committee chaired by one of our achievers this year, Senator Jerry St. Germain, who lives not very far from here, lifetime, who basically said, we need to address this now, and it's one part sustained investment that's required, that's in all of our interests. We've got to have some parity with on-reserve, off-reserve, other students in the country. That's one part. Another is acknowledging local, much more control by the communities over their future. When you're in control, you are accountable, you are responsible, you deliver results, because you are in control.
Yes. Calvin Helene, as you know, has written 2 books, one called Dances with Dependency. I think the other one is The Economic Dependency Trap, about, if I may say, the entrepreneurial Indian and why it's important. One of the chiefs was here and he said, Fanny, the white guys don't like smart Indians. He said, that was Bill Wilson, of course.
Oh, I know Bill.
He was kidding.
And I know Calvin.
Yes.
I know all these folks. And I can tell you that Calvin, people like him, great role models. He is an entrepreneur.
And a lawyer.
And a lawyer.
Success.
As is the chair of the foundation is Dave Tuckeroo. He's a self-made entrepreneur, top 40 under 40, just received the Canadian Aboriginal Business Hall of Fame induction, and we have many more. Victor Buffalo, who we're honoring this year for Business and Commerce. What did he do? He was behind the creation of Peace Hills Trust, an Aboriginal financial institution.
Of course, and there's some Aboriginal wineries. It's
Yes.
not that it's not possible, but how do you give First Nations the power to change things, to change it up? What needs to happen in some instances?
I think, first of all, what needs to happen is we need to make space for our own communities to take control of their own affairs. I think we also need to invest in the future. And it's not all about money, it's true, but resources, financial resources are part of it. I like to see what's happening with our achievers in arts, in business, we've mentioned some of them, in education, in health. We need to expose our young people much more to that and enable them to believe they can achieve. This week, we have events all week involving about 1,500 students. We have a career conference at the Convention Center where we're going to expose young people to role models, motivate them, get them to believe that they can have a future. Then we're taking hundreds onto the campus of UBC. Then we're bringing grades 4 and 5s. We have got to get to people younger and younger. Kindergarten is where we're going to start. We're focusing much more of our activity younger and younger. And Canadians have a role to play in this. Right here in our own country, There are charities such as, I unashamedly will say, this foundation.
Right.
We as Canadians need to invest because it's our future we're investing in.
Well, and I think Canadians have to no longer tolerate a lack of progress on Aboriginal issues. All Canadians, not just Indigenous.
Absolutely.
Just say, we need to settle this, and we talk about it on and on and on about land claims, and we're not going there today. But there is logic to invest in youth.
Absolutely, and it's achievable.
Aboriginal youth, any other youth, our greatest resource.
That's right.
Our children, not our gold, not our silver, our children.
And if you look ahead, you know, there was a great study done by the Center for Living Standards that said if we close this gap, which by the way is widening between Indigenous people and other Canadians, if we close the gap in education and employment, guess what? In 15 years, we would save $115 billion on the expense side, and we'd add $400 billion to Canada's GDP. This is not about rights. This is not about it's the right thing to do, though it is. It is smart business. It is common sense that we should all be embracing this part of our population. And we'll all be enriched. This country will be enriched.
Yeah, the First Nations, the Inuit, the Métis, all of it.
That's right.
All of us.
That's
really.
why I'm spending my time at this point. And you've mentioned, you know, I've had these other careers, and I have.
Yes.
But as chief, which was the last thing I did before I took this role on, I've seen education as a parent that pulled our kids out of unacceptable schools. I've seen it as a chief, and I see it now where I am, that this is the future. And so the Achievement Award recipients that we will honor Friday night, and it's going to be broadcast on Global and APTN in April the 13th for all to see. We are lifting up these individuals who have done so much for them right
Very
from
much.
here
Adam
in
Beach
BC.
from the arts, Chief Ed John from here, education, culture, environment, and it's sold out.
It is. Well, if you want to inquire about tickets, call us up, but we pretty much think we're sold out.
All right, and that's Friday at 8:30 at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre. And I thank you. Nice to meet you, and I know you're an expert at dispute resolution, so you'll be able to figure it out.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.